Saturday night, Georgia, Texas, a huge game, giant showdown, and one of the biggest moments in the game. Texas students primarily threw a pile of debris on the field, mainly liquids, mainly water bottles, of which one hit me in the head, and then you also had a fair amount of beer. I don't think there was liquor that I could tell. But I've covered Georgia for 24 years. I've been on a lot of SEC sidelines over the last quarter century almost, and this is the first time I've ever seen something quite that bad. I've got some video that I'm going to roll over the top as well, and this was my first time to Austin for a game, and I thought Texas did a great job. I want to show you some stuff that they did during this, but I wanted to go over what it was like, because a lot of people have asked me this, and they know that I'm on the field for these games. Most people that do what I do are in the press box, most people. But I'm on the field. I've always been on the field. There's a long explanation for that I can go through at the end of the video, but stick with me as I explain how this went. So you had a play in the game where officials threw a flag after Texas intercepted a ball and got it to the Georgia 9-yard line. When the call occurred, fans got so the call was pass interference. I think it was holding or pass interference, I believe, on Texas, which wiped out what was a great play by the Horns, or at least a game-changing play at a minimum. But it was sort of hold your horses appropriately while we were in Texas, hold your cattle, hold Bevo. Then we started seeing not sugar falling from the sky, but shrapnel, liquid shrapnel, if that's even a thing, falling from the sky. And it was, as I say, it was something I've never seen this before. The chaos that ensued, it was poorly handled by not just the officials, but by certainly officials started this by not spotting the ball and just going on with play. If you get a call incorrect, then you just move forward from there. But the explanation was strange, but that happened after the fact. Let me read you the statement from the Southeastern Conference, and I can put this on the screen right now. Actually, here's Ryan, who, as we all know, was at the game with me. Just stuff getting thrown all over the place. That's me. That's me right there in the bottom corner. I'm right over here. This is actually, I don't know if that's me grabbing my stuff or not at that point. No, I don't think that is. But I was right there in that corner, and you can see all the photographers on the left-hand side. I'm glad Ryan shot this. There. I'm back. Okay, I'm on the wall here. So there's a security guard or there's fire. I think it was EMT. He was to my immediate left. I have a towel that I use at stadiums that have artificial turf because it really rips my knees up. And you can see my I'm putting the mouse over the towel right there. And you saw how quickly that ball came in. I mean, it came rolling in. Normally you would not get hit and it hurt. But that one that just came in right down here, that would have really hurt somebody. And I'll talk about that in a second. I do not recall, like some of these bottles are coming, or some of these, well, they are bottles, I guess you could say. They're plastic bottles. Some of them came down pretty hard, which when I got hit by one that wasn't that hard, I said, I'm going to the back right by the wall. It still got sprayed with alcohol and water, which is not okay. But it is what happened. Here's what the Southeastern Conference, they said, with 3 minutes and 12 seconds to play in the third quarter of the Georgia at Texas game, Texas intercepted the pass at the 46-yard line, yada, yada, yada. Game officials gathered to discuss the play, which is permitted to ensure the proper penalty is enforced, which at the time of calling, official reported the official had erred and a foul should not have been called for defensive pass interference. Consequently, Texas was awarded the ball at the Texas 9-yard line. While the original evaluation assessment of the penalty was not properly executed, it is unacceptable to have debris thrown on a field at any time. The disruption of the game due to debris being thrown on the field will be reviewed by the Southeastern Conference office related to sportsmanship and procedures. So fast forward a little bit. Man, I tell you, this was a wild game on a lot of different levels. When by the time we got to the visitor post-game press conference, which Texas really did not help us at all with, let me tell you, they should be ashamed of that part. I was the person to ask Kirby.
Was there an explanation for not a delay? Did they give you an explanation why there was not a delay penalty when those were thrown?
I didn't even ask that. I don't know if it's a warning first or what they have in terms of that, but you would think there would be some form of penalty or punishment on the team that's responsible for it, but that's beyond me. I don't really know why.
This was improperly handled on a lot of different levels. It starts with the fans. This is going to happen more often, and that's as a person who has lived through a field storming at Kentucky. I'm trying to think. Fans should not interfere at all in the playing surface, whether it's with their bodies or with things they're throwing on there. This is not 1990s NWO, okay? It's dangerous. Secondly, the officials getting a call wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. The officials got to be a little bit quicker and let it spot the ball one way or the other. They moved the ball to indicate that that Texas had been penalized. And that was after, if I'm not mistaken, that was after the debris was flying. Now, I could be wrong about that part, but let me just say this. It was improperly handled by the officials in terms of not just speed, but explanation. It should have been much faster, in my view. In addition, Texas should have been much faster on the PA system. And just off the top of my head, and I had things coming off the top of my head, water bottles. I don't recall them immediately saying, do not throw things on the field. I recall them saying that as play started, but I do not think that they did a good job on that front. I do want to say that there was a very good group at Texas did a very good job of hustling out there to get the trash off the field. I mean, I don't really know other way to put it. I mean, that's trash. It wasn't something that should have been out there at all. I'm gonna roll the video here, and the kudos to a couple of different things happening at once here. First of all, it was smart. Now the Georgia defense is still on the sideline, but eventually they moved them. And I don't know if that was Georgia officials or who it was, but as you can see, these sidelines at Texas are far tighter than they are at Alabama, at Auburn, at Georgia. They are far closer to fans, the players. There were not a lot of security people on the field, in my view, from my experience. There were a lot of riffraff and a lot of fans. And I get having Matthew McConaughey and KD and everybody on the field. I get all that, but there was a lot of non-KD and a lot of Scotty Scheffler and all that. There was a lot of non-Quavos that were down there that I'm not sure why they were there. But when you see Georgia offense right there is already not quite halfway to the dash. To the hashes. That was smart because one of the kids could have gotten hit. These guys down here, I don't know who you are, but you did a good job because that's just smart. Get the trash off the field immediately. Whoever had the brain power to go out there and do that was smart. Because they're all in burnt orange except one guy who's security down here. That's what you should be doing. Now, I'm almost certain this is Sark right here at the 20-yard line. Look, it ain't the head coach's fault that we got some idiots out there. And again, I say, we're going to see this more, okay, as time goes on. I'm not celebrating this. I'm not talking a lot of trash about Texas because I think that we're going to see trash on the field more. I'm not cheerleading for it. But I think this is the new reality in today's world where we can't seem to find a balance between passionately cheering for people and just going way overboard. I don't, and I mentioned this after the fact the other night, I don't know if a student over here was hit with something or not. However, there was a medical event that happened right here in the student section. And these guys were going hard. No, I mean, like they were doing, it seemed like they were fine. But what I'm saying is they were cheering hard. But I don't know what happened down here. If you're like in the front row, you are in very good position to get hit by bottles. And again, it wasn't glass. If it were glass, you'd be talking about criminal charges. So there's that. But I having done this for such a long time, I've never seen something like that before. I continue to say that as I get older, though, just about stuff. I've never seen that before. I'd never seen a cow on the sideline either, or a bull, whatever. I'm sure everybody will get triggered about that. But, when you go on when you go on the field for these games, you don't anticipate having to take cover. I do think about that for terrorist things, but I don't think about it for people flinging stuff on the field. As it turns out, the play was the play. It should have just been an interception, and we move on from there. But what it looked like was complete mismanagement and ineptness by someone not taking control of the situation. There's two people. You got the official, the main referee, and then you've got game management, which is run by the host institution. The commissioner of the SEC was there too. I do not know if Greg was. I don't know. Greg's saying his name. I do not know if Greg was. Greg was not where I was at the time, but Greg was on the field when later in the game, and there were high-level SEC officials right near me during this too, and a lot of Disney people who were there as well. It was a bad look for Texas for sure, but I think there were multiple things that happened here that caused it. To Kirby's point about what he said, I mean, I think he's got a point here on it. He said they told us the guy said he said the official just got it wrong. The guy called the wrong guy, which took him a long time to realize that. So it's one of those things where I don't know what I'm allowed to say or not to say. I won't comment because I respect the wishes of the SEC office. He said, but I will say that we've set a precedent that if you throw a bunch of stuff on the field and endanger athletes, that you've got a chance to get your call reversed. And that's unfortunate because to me that's dangerous. That's not what we want. That's not criticizing officials. That's what happened. That's not quite what happened, but that's what it looked like happened for sure. And Kirby went on to say, talking about the difference in numbers, he said, I guess the offensive guy talking about the pass interference, he said 11 and 7, two distinct numbers. I don't know why in all my coaching career I've never seen it happen that way. It's pretty unfortunate. So let me just say about what Kirby said here. He said, you've got a chance to get your call reversed. What I don't get too is if it's a penalty, isn't it still a penalty and you got to announce it? Like, so if that was on Arian Smith, why wouldn't you announce that? Did they announce that and I completely missed it? It didn't look like it. And then you would decline the penalty. I don't think that's what they said. There's no pass interference. What the hell did you throw a flag for? It's got to be a flag on somebody, right? Like, so I think the officials just did a bad job on that moment. And those guys better not be at the SEC championship or at the Orange Bowl or whatever. Like, they'd probably be at the Fiesta Bowl. Like, that was a pretty big mess up. And what is so important in these moments is to clearly communicate what's going on. I would clearly communicate to the fans and the spectators at Darrell K. Royal that night, that moment. B, basketball does such a better job with this. Perhaps it's easier. B, I would immediately tell Disney and television what's going on so they can get that message to the 10 to 14 million people that were watching it in that moment, and that will be replayed forever. That's how you handle those moments. But what I don't like here is that if it's a penalty, call the penalty. And when you go to the official statistics, it's not on here. See, pass intercepted by Jaheim Barron, 36 yards to the Georgia 9. There's no indication of a penalty at all. At all. So there's some real failure here. I'm trying to get the screen back. There's some real failure here by a lot of people. So what was it like being on the field during that? It was a strange, surreal moment. I think I'll talk about this for a while in the future, not now. But I did want to get on here because, our audience, y'all, I feel like we need to tell y'all the truth. What is it like? I always shoot with Georgia coming at me. So I was at the opposite end of the field, but I was where all of the debris came down. And, I know people don't care, but A, you could hurt someone on the field. B, my gear is you're talking about $15,000 to $20,000 worth of photography gear that someone would have to be, like somebody's paying me back and my gear is jacked. I can't work the game at that point too. So there's that. But it's is safety more than anything. And then 3, it's a really bad look for Texas. I think they should have been quicker. I think that, there was a medical event during this whole thing. It was bad. It was unfortunate. More than anything, don't throw stuff on the field. Don't throw stuff at a game. I'll say this too. If you threw it at that game, there's a pretty good chance there's video of you throwing it at that game. There's video cameras all around these stadiums. I know that because I walk around all the stadiums all the time. And it was a bad look for Texas. And hopefully this won't happen again in the league. Thanks for watching.